Hello, this is Abraham Matthew, DBA student with California Intercontinental University. I will be discussing a few slides about the competitive strategies. Porter discusses four types of competitive strategies: cost leadership, differentiation, cost focus, and differentiation focus. Let us discuss here what corporate and functional strategies are. As per Salawu in 2015, until 1980, strategy was thought of on two levels: the corporate and the functional. Corporate strategy concerns the long run and suggests a technique for attaining the long term goals of a company as a whole. Functional strategy concerns the short run and refers to a technique serving the goals of each separate business function, such as marketing, sales, production, and finance, on an annual basis. In 1980, Michael Porter published Competitive Strategy, the most influential book on strategy of the time. Koo, Ko, and Nam discusses that the Porter's framework of four competitive strategies is used to compare the market strategies of firms operating solely in an electronic virtual market, online firms, and firms operating concurrently in the traditional and electronic markets. It also examines the connection between the competitive strategies and business performance in electronic markets. Koo, Ko, and Nam further discussed that a survey of 123 firms in South Korea found that Porter's competitive strategies are relevant to electronic markets. Depending on their operating model, firms tend to choose different competitive strategies. Online firms incline to differentiation strategies, whereas click and mortar firms prefer strategies based on market focus. Because the strategies firms choose for competitive strength are not necessarily the best ones to improve business performance, firms competing in an electronic market need to reassess their competitive strategies and reallocate their resources to maximize the return on their investment. In this slide, we discuss the various types of competitive advantage as per Porter. It talks about the source of competitive advantage versus competitive scope. It discusses all the four strategies: cost leadership strategy, differentiation strategy, low cost focus strategy, and differentiation focused strategy. Let us first discuss cost leadership. There was no specific structured study to show as to how such cost advantage can result into a competitive advantage until in 1980. According to Majumdar, Porter came up with a book titled Competitive Strategy, which introduced everyone to five basic forces driving industry competition and three generic strategies to outperform the competitors. Overall, cost leadership was one of these three generic strategies, and ultimately, the role of better cost management to achieve a better strategic positioning in the industry was formally accorded its due importance. The cost leadership strategy generally involves targeting cost conscious customers or customers with a price sensitivity. Now, let us discuss an example under cost leadership strategy. According to Back and Boggs, researchers have associated cost leadership with mass merchandisers such as the retail firms Kmart and Walmart, or fast food restaurants such McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken. The resource difficulties faced by KFC when it entered China helped to illustrate the problems with transferring economies of production. Upon entering China, KFC found that Chinese agriculture businesses mainly raised pork and did not have the technical skills or experience necessary to produce the quality of poultry the restaurant needed. Thus, KFC suffered from a scarcity of quality chickens, obviously a major problem. To solve this situation, KFC had to undertake an expensive and time consuming joint venture with the government to create its own hatcheries to produce chickens that met its high quality requirements. Now we are moving to the next strategy, which is differentiation strategy. Differentiated goods and services satisfy the needs of customers through a sustainable competitive advantage. This allows companies to desensitize prices and focus on value that generates a comparatively higher price and a better margin. The benefits of differentiation require producers to segment markets in order to target goods and services at specific segments, generating a higher than average price. A few examples of differentiation are Nike athletic shoes, BMW Group automobiles, Apple Computer, and Mercedes Benz automobiles. Let's further discuss an example for differentiation strategy. Chun and Cho explains using a sample of 659 firm year observations of Korean manufacturing listed firms during 2005 to 2010. We find that differentiation strategy is negatively associated with real activities earnings management, suggesting that firms pursuing a differentiated strategy are likely to refrain from managing earnings using the real activities earnings management that goes against their strategy. We also observe that interactive synergy between differentiation and corporate social responsibility CSR strengthens the negative relationship between the differentiated strategy and real activities earnings management, implying that synergy effect between CSR and differentiation strategy even more constrains real activities earnings management that is in conflict with both CSR and differentiation strategy. These findings are robust after we perform sensitivity tests. Now let us discuss the third strategy, cost focus. This is basically a niche low cost strategy whereby a cost advantage is achieved in focuser's target segment. Whelan Hunger Hoffman Bamford pinpoints that, according to Porter, cost focus exploits differences in cost behavior in some segments. In this, the focuser concentrates on a narrow buyer segment and outcompetes rivals on the basis of lower cost. Since we heard about cost focus, let's also discuss an example of cost focus strategy. Walmart stores has been successful using its strategy of everyday low prices to attract customers. The idea of everyday low prices is to offer products at a cheaper rate than competitors on a consistent basis rather than relying on sales. Walmart is able to achieve this due to its large scale and efficient supply chain. Walmart sources products from cheap domestic suppliers and from low wage foreign markets. This allows the company to sell their items at low prices and to profit off thin margins at a high volume. Now we are moving on to the last strategy, which is differentiation focus strategy. In this, the firm offers niche buyers something different from rivals. Here, the firm seeks differentiation in its target segment. Differentiation focus exploits the special needs of buyers in specified segments. Whelan Hunger Hoffman Bamford pinpoints that, according to Porter, cost focus exploits differences in cost behavior in some segments. In this, the focuser concentrates on a narrow buyer segment and outcompetes rivals on the basis of lower cost. Now let us discuss an example of differential focus. Let us discuss T-Mobile. What are they doing differently, focusing or targeting their consumers? Why are they brilliant? A cellular company that is shedding what it means to be a cellular company, catering to a smaller niche audience which are young, urban dwellers, those who don't want to be tied down and owned by their cellular company. They have plans that doesn't require a contract, listening and following the behaviors of their core customer. They understand their audience. This is a great example of differential focus. Now let us move on to the conclusion. The business level, as introduced and established by Porter's model of competitive strategies, as per Salavo, is indeed a profound concept in strategic management. The competitive strategy, acting independently or in combination, provides the conditions for the sustainability of competitive advantage. No matter how many years pass, research on competitive strategy will continue as it considers businesses of any age, size, sector, or country. Lastly, the global challenge of today is how scholars will revise theory to better capture reality. It is time to fit all the types of competitive strategies within a theoretical framework, as they cannot be hosted in the original model defined in 1980 with three single emphasis strategic choices. The era in which combining competitive strategies was synonymous with stuck in the middle alternatives has been left behind, and the era in which hybrid strategies suggest the most attractive choices, at least in some circumstances, has already begun. Now, thank you to all the listeners who enjoyed this presentation. Hope you enjoyed the different strategies discussed. Thank you very much.